I found out my niece had been born from a blurry photo on Instagram, posted 6 weeks after the fact, with a caption that didn't mention me once. I had given my brother one of my kidneys 11 months earlier. I hadn't been given so much as a phone call to say his daughter had arrived. If you've ever been betrayed by someone you trusted, hit the like button now. If you've ever stayed silent while someone underestimated you, comment here below. And subscribe to Story Retribution, because today's ending proves that karma always arrives, just not when people expect it. Ryan and I were inseparable growing up. 2 years apart, same bunk bed until we were teenagers, same terrible haircuts our mother gave us in the kitchen with clippers she bought at a garage sale. When his kidneys started failing at 31, a genetic condition that had taken our uncle a decade earlier, I didn't think twice about getting tested. Neither did our cousin or our father, but I was the closest match by far. I was a match. My wife, Sarah, cried when I told her I wanted to donate. Not because she didn't support it, because she was terrified of the surgery, the recovery, the risk to my own health for the rest of my life. Doctors are honest about that risk. One kidney, forever, no matter what happens later in your own life. I told her the same thing I told everyone who asked. He's my brother. There isn't a version of this where I say no. The surgery went well. 6 hours, 2 operating rooms, 1 kidney passed from my body into his. I spent 4 days in the hospital and another 6 weeks barely able to lift my own daughter Maddie, who was 3 at the time, and didn't understand why Daddy couldn't pick her up. Ryan cried at my bedside the morning after. "I'll never be able to repay you for this," he said, holding my hand. "You gave me my life back. This baby we're planning, she's only going to exist because of you. She'll know that. I'll make sure she knows that." I have that moment recorded, actually. Sarah had been filming on her phone for our family group chat, capturing his reaction to send to our parents. I never expected to need it again. I just never deleted it. For the first few months, things were exactly what I hoped. Ryan called constantly, checked on my recovery, sent me updates on his own numbers, his creatinine levels, his energy coming back day by day. He sent me a photo of his first jog around the block, 6 weeks after surgery, with the caption, "Because of you." Then he met his wife's family for a holiday dinner, and slowly the calls started thinning out. A weekly check-in became monthly. Monthly became, "We should catch up soon" texts that never turned into actual plans. His wife, Jessica, had never fully warmed to the story of the transplant. At a dinner not long after the surgery, she said, half joking in front of both our families, "It's a little much, isn't it? Everyone talking about the kidney like it's the only thing that ever happened in this family. Ryan's allowed to have a life that isn't defined by his brother's surgery." Our mother laughed it off nervously. I let it go too, telling myself new spouses take time to find their place in an old family. But the distance kept growing. Ryan stopped inviting me to doctor appointments he'd once wanted me at every time. When Jessica got pregnant, I found out from our mother, not from him. When they had a gender reveal party, Sarah, Maddie, and I weren't invited. Jessica told our mother it was immediate family only, despite inviting her own college roommates. Then the baby came, and nobody told us. I found out from Instagram, scrolling one night after Maddie went to bed. A photo of Ryan holding a newborn in a hospital blanket captioned, "Our whole world, 6 weeks old today." 6 weeks. She had already been alive and breathing for 6 weeks, and the man whose life I had personally kept intact hadn't thought to tell me she existed. I texted him, "Congratulations. I didn't know. Why didn't anyone tell us?" He took 2 days to respond. "Sorry, it's just been a lot. Jessica wanted to keep the first few weeks really private and close. You know how it is with in-laws sometimes." I wasn't an in-law. I was the reason he was alive to have a daughter at all. I didn't call and scream. I didn't post anything online about it. I put my phone down, sat with Sarah on the porch, and told her calmly, I think I finally understand what's been happening for the last year. Our parents were planning their 40th wedding anniversary a few months later. A full family gathering, the first one in a long time everyone would actually attend, including Ryan, Jessica, and the baby. Our parents had also decided, quietly, to set up a small college trust for both of their grandchildren using part of their retirement savings, and asked a family friend, an estate lawyer named Mr. Ferris, to bring the paperwork so everyone could review the beneficiary details together that same evening. I asked Mr. Ferris one question before the party. If something happens to Ryan and Jessica both, is there a backup guardian listed for the baby in any of the medical or insurance paperwork from the transplant follow-up care? There's an emergency contact and family history disclosure form, he said. Standard for anyone with a living donor sibling. Your name is on it. Ryan listed you himself right after the surgery. I brought a printed copy with me. I also brought Sarah's old video, still saved, of Ryan crying at my hospital bedside. I didn't plan to humiliate anyone. I planned to simply put the truth in the room, the way Ryan once promised he would. At the anniversary dinner, Mr. Ferris went through the trust details for both grandchildren, careful and thorough. The way lawyers always are with paperwork nobody else wants to read line by line. When he reached the baby section, he mentioned, matter-of-factly, that the transplant disclosure form listed me as an emergency family contact and asked if that should remain unchanged going forward. Jessica laughed lightly, waving a hand like she was swatting away a fly. That's outdated. We'll get that changed. It's not really necessary anymore, is it? Why wouldn't it be necessary? Our mother asked, setting her wine glass down slowly. Because he already got his moment, Jessica said, gesturing vaguely toward me without quite looking at me. Honestly, I think it's time this family stops making every single thing about the kidney. It happened. It was generous. It's over. The table went quiet. My mother's fork stopped halfway to her plate. I'm not asking for a moment, I said calmly. I'm asking why my brother's daughter is 6 months old and I've never held her. I'm asking why I found out she existed from Instagram instead of from him. Jessica's face tightened. You're being dramatic. I took out my phone and played the video. Ryan's voice, raw and crying, filled the dining room. I'll never be able to repay you for this. This baby we're planning, she's only going to exist because of you. She'll know that. I'll make sure she knows that. Ryan stared at his own voice like he was hearing a stranger. Jessica's face went pale. Wait, what? Our father said, looking between his son and daughter-in-law. You never told her any of that? Ryan, our mother said quietly, did you know she wasn't inviting your brother to things? Ryan didn't answer. He looked at Jessica, and for the first time, I watched him actually see what had been happening for the last year. I told him you were busy, Jessica said quickly. I told him you were healing, you needed space. I gave him a kidney, I said. I didn't need space for my own family. I needed one phone call. Jessica froze, her mouth slightly open, no response ready for the first time all evening. Our Aunt Carol, who had stayed quiet through the entire dinner, finally spoke. I always wondered why you two stopped bringing the baby around, she said to Jessica. Now I understand exactly why. Ryan stood up, walked around the table and hugged me, right there in front of everyone, without saying a word first. When he finally spoke, his voice broke. I'm sorry. I let this happen. I should have called you myself the day she was born. I didn't gloat. I didn't bring up anything else. I simply said, I just want to meet my niece. 3 days later, Ryan brought her to our house himself, without Jessica, and placed her in my arms for the first time. She grabbed my finger the way Maddie used to, and I sat there for almost an hour, not saying much, just grateful to finally be in the room. Ryan and Jessica are working through things in counseling now, according to our mother. I don't know what their marriage looks like on the other side of it, and honestly, that's not mine to fix. What I do know is that I never gave up a kidney expecting gratitude in return. But I did expect to be allowed in the room when the family I saved kept growing. To be told, not discovered on a screen weeks after the fact. Family isn't measured by what you're owed. It's measured by who shows up when it actually matters, and who's still standing in the room once the crisis has passed, and there's nothing left to gain from being kind. I showed up for my brother when his body was failing. All I ever asked in return was to be let back into the room once his life had a heartbeat in it again. If this story resonated with you, hit that like button right now. Tell me in the comments, what would you have done in my situation? If you enjoy stories about family betrayal, emotional drama, shocking revenge, and the justice that always finds its way back, subscribe to Story Retribution and turn on the bell so you never miss the next story. Tomorrow's story might be even more unbelievable. See you then.